Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Retro X-Men Target exclusive Outback STORM. I got mine actually from ToySnowman.com. Target did ship out my pre-order, so you might be able to find her in stores, but if you're looking to bypass Target, ToySnowman.com has you covered. I'll have a link in the video description below, including my referral link. If you use that link and create a new account, you get a 5% off coupon code in your Frost Reward, so make sure to check out ToySnowman.com for all your action figure needs, including Marvel Legends, but they also have all of your other toy lines that you collect, Mafex, SH Figuarts, McFarlane Toys, Mattel, all that stuff you're going to be able to find at ToySnowman.com. But here we have Outback STORM, so this adds to the X-Men team of Outback. I just grabbed a few figures so we can kind of do some comparisons. This is the Outback Rogue specifically that we had gotten. This is the Dazzler figure that came in the Mojo World pack. And then here is just Storm, so we could do a proper comparison because there are some similarities between these two figures, but there are some differences between them, of course. So we will go over that in this video. But looking at it, we got the Retro X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men Toy Biz Retro card style. Here it says Lightning Blast for the effects because we get 2 extra sets of hands. We get a pair of fists, and then we get the electricity hands there. Looking at the back of the package, we get a look at the figure, and the bio reads, from their new headquarters in the Australian Outback, Storm leads the X-Men using her mutant weather-controlling abilities to combat foes opposed to Professor Xavier's dream of mutants coexisting with humans. So there we go. Let's go ahead and open it up, and let's take a look at Outback STORM. Okay, so here's the Storm figure out of the package, and yeah, it's a good one. I think it uses a lot of, or some of the pieces from the X-Men 97 Storm, the animated series, the Marvel Animation X-Men 97 show. So it does use some similarities to that. There is not as much same to this previous Storm figure as I thought. In fact, there's basically nothing the same except maybe hands, maybe the feet. But the suit itself is different, and then the head sculpt is the same, though. It's painted differently. The paint apps on there are painted differently, so those are the differences. It is not the same, like, cape wing piece. Cape wing, I don't know. Just the cape piece. It is different. It is made of the same material that we had in the previous version. This was also a retro Storm figure, as the... I guess all the Storm figures that were like this were actually retro. It was the white suit and the black suit were both retro versions, and then the X-Men 97 version was also on a card. Was a carded figure, but though that's what we have going on there. I'll do a little bit of a different comparison a little bit later on, but I want to focus on this Storm figure and the accessories. So out of the package, she does have open hands in there available for her, and then she also comes with a pair of fists that you can swap out, and then she has these electricity hands. We've seen these before. In fact, I think a Storm figure has had them before, but one thing that's different about these ones, we don't get like the bright yellow lightning or anything like that. We get some straight up clear translucent into some blue, so it's a little bit of a darker color, but I do like the way they look in there. So that is there, and then you could see it almost looks like maybe I'm missing some paint on some of the fingers because the whole hand is obviously the translucent color, and then they apply, you know, the blue. I don't know how they do that, but that's kind of how the hands work in there. So that is the Storm. So now let's go ahead and get in for a closer look at the figure itself. Okay, so here is the Storm figure, and again, this head sculpt is the same that we had gotten multiple times, and it does look pretty good. You can see her skin tone is a little bit lighter, and then the paint apps are applied a little bit nicer. Here we had kind of a purple eyeshadow in there. Here it's a little bit more subtle in there, and it just looks a little bit cleaner, like on the lipstick and everything like that. We get a brighter gold for the earring. The hair does not have as much heavy shading in there. It gives it a much cleaner look, if you ask me, because this one had some gray kind of thrown in there, and it just doesn't look as clean. Whereas this one, we get a little bit of that light, that bluish hue gray in there, and it just looks a lot cleaner. It looks a little bit better, in my opinion. So we have that there. We get this bright gold in there for her suit. There's some textured details into it, and again, the arm, the textures of the arm there reminds me of the X-Men 97 figure. I'd have to double check that, but I'm sure that's what it is. We do get the fists. The fists are quite small on this figure, though. It is pinless at the elbows, pinless at the knees, so that's kind of the big update there. But then kind of looking at how they do this cape piece, so it looks like it's kind of wrapped around inside the shoulder in there on both sides, and then it just sits in there, and that's how we have the cape. So very different from what we had previously gotten with the Jim Lee Storm versions, but again, it is the same exact material, so don't let that fool you in there. So yeah, that is our Storm. Now let's go ahead and jump into her articulation. Okay, so Storm's articulation, because of her long hair, she really cannot look up. It is on a dumbbell joint this time around. So just a heads up on that. But she can look down, which is good, and then you could twist the head side to side, but again, careful because the hair can get in the way of like the shoulders and stuff like that, and you do get some good head neck pivot going on in there. The arms, you can get the shoulder to go straight on out like so. You get a full rotation in there. You get an upper bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbow, gives you that much bend at the elbow, quite nice. Wrist swivel, and they do hinge, standard horizontal hinge on all of the hands, including the lightning effect hands. We get the diaphragm cut on there so we can get Storm to lean to her left that much. She can lean to her right that much there. She can lean back a little bit of a ways there, as you can see, and then coming forward actually is more than I would say with usual on female diaphragms, but it's still not a lot. And then you get the swivel at that diaphragm as well. And then legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward that far. The leg doesn't go back. Upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinless knee gives you that much bend at the knee. No calf swivel or boot swivel. Foot hinges all the way down. You get some good hinge up. Ankle pivot. Peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So solid for Storm. She's, again, very similar. If you're specifically looking to complete the Outback team, then, you know, that's something that you're going to want to add to the collection. But, you know, looking at like a comparison with the Jim Lee version, which I actually prefer. What I would love for is an updated release of this with today's standards, because I think it'll look better for sure, because the pinless goes a long way. The double jointed elbows is a nice touch. So that would be kind of the way to go. And then, but I still really like this Storm figure, and it's probably one of my favorites. The Xmen 97 one is really good too, but I like the black and gold as opposed to the white and yellowish gold. But you guys let me know what you guys think. Okay, and so I have Dazzler and Rogue and Storm in here because these are, I think, I want to say specifically like Outback X-Men releases, especially the Rogue. The Rogue kind of came out on her own. She was like a fan channel exclusive. It was kind of weird at the time that, you know, she kind of came out on her own. You know, looking back, maybe they would have wanted to do a retro card, but I think that was that weird time period, you know, where we also had plastic-free packaging and, you know, weird things going on like that. But specifically to the Outback stuff, these are the figures that I kind of had brought out. You could throw in a brown suit Wolverine, but I didn't bother trying to dig one out or anything like that. But that's what we have so far. You guys give me your thoughts on completing the Outback X-Men team. Who would you like to see next? I wouldn't mind seeing a Colossus next. That would be pretty cool. I mean, we have Havoc, and I think we had a fairly newish Havoc that came out not too long ago. But you guys let me know who you would like to see. I think Colossus would be really cool to see next. Okay, so there is the Outback Storm. Again, you guys let me know who you would like to see next. My opinion, Colossus, but, you know, if it's Psylocke, I can understand because it's a very different look for Psylocke. But we just got a Psylocke figure not long ago. Really, really good one. But here's the Outback Storm again, retro exclusive, retro X-Men carded figure, Target exclusive, or you can go to toysnowman.com, link in the video description below to pick up Storm if you're looking to add her to collection. Definitely a better Storm figure than we have gotten, but it's not necessarily the look that I prefer. The Jim Lee look is kind of the style of Storm that I would prefer, but this one is really good because you get a lot of nice sculpted detail in her suit, which is always a nice touch. But you guys give me your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.